class, it's Mrs. Fickus reporting to you from my new studio space. Kind of finally got most everything out here, and today we're going to be working on a request I had from one of my nephews. One is in 4th grade, then my son is in 3rd grade, and then my other nephew is in 2nd grade, and their names are Briggs, Matthew, and Baylor, and they requested how to draw a tractor. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I have had a request from my nephews, Briggs and Baylor, to teach everybody how to draw a tractor. So this is the tractor that I've chosen. Just random. I'm not really a John Deere fan or anything like that. That's just what I picked. Probably the most recognizable type of tractor too. So how I'm going to start this is, most kids will want to start with this big wheel because it's big. You actually want to start with the smaller wheel. And I'll show you why. I need to figure out how big to make my big tire compared to my smaller tire. So I measure my smaller tire and I say, okay, my big tire is 1, 2 of my smaller tires wide. So then I'll get the size relationship right. Then I'm going to use the same measurement of my small tire and say, okay, 1, 2. It takes 2 of my small tires to get from the tire in the front to the tire in the back. So that's what we're going to start with. And we're going to start with our simple shapes, and then we'll go over to the paper and we'll do our final drawing. So here we go. So I drew my circle for my front tire. So now I'm going to measure that. 1, 2. So that's where my back tire would start. 1, 2. That's the size of my back tire. I also want to make sure that both tires are on the ground in the same spot. I don't want to end up having one tire higher than the other. So then I get my tire going. You can use a lot of lines and then erase the parts of the lines that make your circle look less like a circle. There we go. The bottom part of the tractor right here between the tires comes about halfway down on the big tire. So we're going to put a line right there. Then we have another line that slants up like that. And then you have the wheel well, the fender. And then about middle of this tire right here, we've got kind of a slanted line for the front of our tractor. We'll worry about the weights on the front. We'll do details like that later. Now I'm going to measure, since I started with my unit of measurement being my tire, I'm going to use the tire width to see how tall. See, look, it's 1 tire width from the tire to the top of the tractor hood. So I'm going to use that as my unit of measurement. This is how we get all our proportions right. So here's the tire width. So right about there is the top of the hood. And that goes back like that. And then you start having the cab. And I'm going to measure how tall my cab is using my width again. Whoa, dropping my pencil. I'm going to use my tire width again to measure how tall the cab is. So from this bottom line here, from the bottom of the tractor, 1, 2. So 2 high. So 1, which would be right there, 2. So there's the top of my cab. We'll worry about our angles and everything once we get everything done. And then about just past the middle of the back tire is where the cab comes to an end. Like that. And already we have something that's looking like a tractor. We put the wheel. You got to kind of watch that. You want to make sure that this width is thick enough to be a tractor tire. And then we can start working on all of our other details now that we have our basic shapes down. So now we're going to move on to the paper, and we're going to do all this on the paper so we can work out our details. Okay, class, I've lightly sketched the same thing that we saw over on the whiteboard. I've lightly sketched onto my paper, and I'm going to kind of darken in some spots just so that you guys can see them easier. So I'm going to use my red colored pencil. You probably see me do this before with drawing that robin. And the colored pencil will show up on camera easier than regular pencil will, and then we can just go over it. This part you don't have to do in colored pencil. This is just how I'm making it easier for you guys to see. Kind of make my circles a little bit more circular. Ha ha ha. My camera right here is on a little bit of a slant. You'll see my paper is a little bit slanted. You can tell because the edge of my paper and the edge of the film is not square, but that's okay. And then I had my straight line right here, right here, right here for the front. And these were my sketch lines from over there on the dry erase board. Now we're going to go through and we're going to add some little bit of body details that will make this look more like our tractor. So in my reference right here, the nose of the tractor has a little bit of a flat spot. So we're going to do that. Then this comes down right here. And then we have a piece where part of the engine comes forward. And we're just going to leave a cutout right here for where our engine is. Then we have slanted piece, and then this is where the cab starts and the hood ends, right here and across. And then for those of you that haven't been around tractors, there's a little toolbox right here, has a lid on it, so we're going to use a little rectangle for that. Kind of goes up underneath the steps. Well, we're not on the side where there's steps. We're kind of what you would call on the other side of the tractor where there aren't any steps. And here's your little toolbox. Now, if you are drawing a tractor that's not a John Deere tractor, some of this might be a little bit different. Whatever picture you've come up with. There's a little piece. And just like we did with the bird, I'm just using my sketch lines as a guide. I can go inside them. I can change them just a little bit. And let's see here. The way it's sitting, we're going to see this tire right here. We're actually kind of looking down on it a little bit. So I'm going to scoot it over just a smidge. And then you've got the tractor weights out on the front. See, and this is where you can, you know, change your sketches a little bit and see, we can erase quite a bit of that red there. My weights go kind of below where I can see them on the tire. There we go. I'm not really going to worry too much about the engine right now. What I'm also going to look at is there's an axle back here, and we can see a little bit of the other tire on the front just because of the angle that we're at. And then I'm going to make the center of my tire where the metal wheel is. I want to make sure that it's not too skinny from here to here. And then I've got the centerpiece. And then you could include all the bolts for the lugs. Back here you would see that inside metal piece as well. All right, and then I'm going to start working on this tire. So I'm going to look at how thick the rubber tread is, and I'm going to try and make a circle inside there. What I'm doing is I'm watching this edge and I'm trying to keep this line an equal distance away all the way around. Need to kind of bring that out a little bit right there. I'm not going to worry about the treads yet. Worry about making this round like it should be. And if you wanted to, you could go over this with a compass if you didn't like your circles, or find something round to trace around, like a roll of tape. But it would very unlikely be the right size circles that you need. Okay, so there's that part. Then I'm going to worry about the other parts of the tractor right here. The wheel well, which kind of comes like this, comes up, cuts in. And I'm just letting my eye follow these shapes. Then I can start working on the cab. The cab is a little bit curved on this tractor, so we want to kind of show that. Here's the metal trim pieces, and then there's a glass piece right here that kind of curves up. And then this whole piece right here curves around because the glass is curved. Just like the glass on your windshield of your car is slightly curved. It helps with the dust, not to have it straight. And then that goes like this. This back end slants a little bit. So now I'm just looking at the shape of the pieces of glass for the windows. And we can see inside the cab just a little bit, and there's a slanted line right here where the back wall is, top back of the cab, and then it comes down like this. So we can see through the cab, and it curves like that. And then we have the top to the cab, and it has a curved top as well. And we can see a little bit of the console right here. You can get into as much detail with that as you want. And then we have some of the steering wheel, and it's an oval, not a circle, because we're looking at it from an angle. Kind of goes back behind there. Make my steering column a little bit thicker. You got pieces right there. So then there's some little knobs and shifters right there. And we can see just a little bit of the other side of the bracing for the door. So I'm just going to go like that. And I'm going to thicken up these pieces because there's a piece of back glass back there. And hood kind of has a slight curve to it right there. Now for your engine parts, it really doesn't matter because it's not like someone who's built the engine is going to be looking at your drawing. So if you want to just add, I mean, there's just some random shapes. There's kind of a rectangle piece here. There's a piece that looks like a hose that kind of curves right there. And there's pieces like that. There's another like cylinder. And here's like another cylinder where I believe that's probably a filter of some sort. And I am just putting a whole lot of stuff right here, just to kind of give the illusion of an engine. Nobody's really going to compare it, you know. My husband probably would, but it won't make a bit of difference. And then there was kind of a grill right here for it to receive air. And then I'm not going to really worry about the decals that say John Deere 4640 right here. You can turn this into any kind of tractor you want. You could put Ford right here. You could put harvesters. You could put Case CH. You could put anything you want right there. But I do need my exhaust pipes right here, the smokestacks. So I got to look at how far away they are from the glass of my cab, and there's one that kind of goes up like this, and here's where we can use some of our knowledge of cylinders again. We're going to put a little bit of an ellipse right here, and then it goes up, and then it actually has a little cap on it that looks kind of like a little hat. And then there's a muffler right here, and they look like this. It hits this one right about here, right about where this one starts is where this one stops. So we're going to curve that too. And it travels out of my photo, so I can't see how the top of it is, so I'm just going to kind of pretend like it ends right there. Then I can erase any of my guidelines here, any lines that interfere. And there's our tractor. Now all we need to do is work on some little details, like I got my little tires just a little bit low on the ground right here, so I need to make it come up a little bit. So this is where I'm going to make my modifications, correct any mistakes that I notice, like the fact that this tire was down a little bit further than my back tire. So this would be whenever I would make changes like that. Before I colored it, I would go through and erase any of my sketchy lines that I don't need anymore. I would go through and fix my circles if they were kind of lumpy or potato-like. I would fix those. And then I'm going to move this back to the middle. This is where I would create the details of like the tire tread, which basically looks like that, and I would go all the way around, trying to space them out equally if I could. And see, then there's a gap of tire, and then another little piece like that. And I would go through and add my tire tread. And then I could put a background with it. Where is my tractor located? What kind of stuff would be behind it? Always include a background in your drawings. That will really, really help make your drawings more realistic. If you put a background in your drawings, have some stuff going on that creates depth, that creates the illusion of this tractor being in a place. So I would, if it was me, let me let go of this right here. If it was me, what I would do is I would put a little bit of stuff like this to make it look like there's dirt right here, soft dirt. You could even have it go over your tires a little bit. Like maybe if you're a little bit apprehensive about how round your tires look, you could have them covered in dirt or mud up pretty high if you wanted to. You could make all kinds of mud. Now this tractor tire back here is floating in space now because my ground is right here. So I got to put ground behind it. So I want to make sure that I have a second ground line so that it looks like that this tire is just on some different ground. And I'm going to have some little line right here like there's dirt squishing up through it, like it's creating a track that it's leaving behind. Then if I wanted to, I could put a hill. And remember, this part of the cab is glass, so I have to go ahead and go through there too. And I could put a hill right here. And I could even make some curved lines to make it look like that this hill has already been messed with. Either it's been tilled or planted, and I'm kind of curving the lines as I go, and I'm making them close up here but spaced further apart down here. That'll just depend on how big you drew your tractor and how much space you have left. I'm going to go ahead and have that go through the background here. So it looks like that this tractor's been working hard. This right here is part of the inside of my cab, so I'm not going to draw there. And I'm going to have my lines go off like that. So there we have what's been going on in the background. So it looks like my tractor's been hard at work. And then around the sky, the sun is not in the corner of our view of the world. It will be either sunrise, sunset, or peeking out from behind a cloud or a building. But when in doubt, if it's not sunrise or sunset, just don't include it. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I am going to put another hill back here. We're going to make this look like that there's a lot. This guy has been busy. Then if you wanted to, over here in this empty space, you could put a little barn. It would be little because it is very far away. Remember the rules about buildings. This side slants this way, so this side has to slant too. And then scoot in a little bit so you can have some overhang. And there's our barn. So now you guys go ahead and finish yours and color it according to what type of tractor you have, what type of crops are going on, and what kind of day it is outside. Have some fun. Okay, class, here is my finished tractor drawing. I used an eraser and erased out streaks to represent the glass, and I just made sure I went through all the colors I'd used. It's a crease right there. But there's my tractor. I didn't bother to put the name on the side or anything, but there's my starting sketch from whenever we talked about it before. And there's my reference photo way over there. And now you can see what the finished project looks like. Have fun drawing.